MGM right now is laying off thousands of people here in the Valley. Those people now permanently out of a job.
It's a total transformation for one of the Las Vegas Strip's biggest employers. MGM Resorts International announced Thursday that more than 500 positions are being eliminated.
You know, when you're laid off and you don't have a warning, it's like you don't know what your next step is. You don't know what to do next.
MGM Resorts has cut about 800 middle managers in less than a week, which includes supervision, management, and senior management. A seemingly move restructures the strategy, but exposes the dark side of the modern business model, where people are treated like numbers that can be erased with just an administrative decision. Those who once played a role in maintaining the operations of one of the world's largest casino hotel groups have now become direct victims of a $1.5 billion gamble that MGM management set out to set the ambition of upgrading Vegas to the global luxury of. But when revenue didn't rise as expected and investments poured into infrastructure, artificial intelligence and automation didn't yield immediate results. Human became the first cost to be cut. Behind the bright lights and slogan, "Vegas has never slept," are hundreds of managers who have lost their jobs, their homes, and their trust in the system they once contributed to. And perhaps, right now, Las Vegas is showing the world. The cruelest gamble does not take place in casinos, but takes place right in closed meeting rooms, where human value is exchanged for profit. In today's video, we'll find out why MGM's $1.5 billion gamble backfired, which left thousands of workers homeless after just a few days. Is this a signal that the Vegas dream is entering a real decline? Join us in finding the answer now. Bookmaker always wins. That's a sentence that anyone who sets foot in Las Vegas knows by heart. But ironically, in the middle of a city made up of cards and promises, MGM, one of the most powerful bookmakers strip, is gradually losing to the gamble he set. MGM Resorts International has long been considered the heart of Vegas, controlling nearly a third of all strip hotel rooms. After the pandemic, when the whole world was still recovering, MGM chose to make a big bet, investing more than $1.5 billion to upgrade facilities, reconstruct the lavish image and repositioning Mandalay Bay, Luxor and MGM Grand, three gems that once made the brand. The goal is clear: to re-engage international visitors and bring Vegas back to its heyday, but in a more luxurious, exclusive version. However, that plan was implemented at a time when the travel habits of Americans and the whole world had changed. From the beginning of 2025, Las Vegas began to fall into an unprecedented decline cycle. The number of visitors to the city decreased by nearly 1 million people compared to the same period last year. The hotel occupancy rate dropped from 89% to about 85%, and the shortened stay of signals customer hesitation. No more long vacations, no more endless games that once fed the entire local economy. Before that change, MGM chose to rotate the card, focusing on the wealthier class, who were willing to spend a lot to offset the decline in visitors. The company increased the price of a series of non-casino services, cuisine, entertainment, resort amenities, with the belief that higher class will bring in higher revenue. But that move pushed millions of Vegas's soulful middle-class customers for decades off the table. Now, Vegas is no longer a destination anyone can dream of. A cup of Starbucks coffee in the Venetian area costs $9.50. 2 slices of pizza and 2 cans of Coke cost up to $52. And a quick lunch also exceeds $50. A local side. Who would have believed that a night in Vegas now amounts to $600, even $700? The statement sounds exaggerated, but it's a reality. Even international visitors, who were once Vegas's gold mine, are gradually leaving. Visitors from Asia and Canada fell more than 13%, partly because of rising travel costs, partly because visa procedures are complicated and cost around $1,150 for a family of 4. Markets that once brought in billions of dollars in revenue are now quiet, leaving resorts large but empty. Even as room rates have fallen to pre-pandemic levels, many resorts remain quietly partially closed or only operate on weekends to save costs. In June 2025, Las Vegas lost another 400,000 visitors, or an 11% decrease from the previous year, marking the 6th consecutive month of tourism decline. And then, that wave hit MGM, the center of the entire Vegas ecosystem. The report for the second quarter of 2025 recorded a 4% decrease in net revenue, equivalent to about $80 million, while operating costs increased sharply due to upgrade categories, escalating energy prices, and personnel pressure. The hotel corridors are now unusually quiet. The casinos are still open, the lights are still on, but the playing floor is empty. Vegas still glows on billboards, but in reality, it's a city struggling to find its breath. Compared to Caesars, MGM has not yet fallen into a full-blown crisis, but the cracks are clear. It's not just about incentives, promotions, or marketing strategies. The core issue lies in trust. The belief that the price shown is the actual price paid, that the experience will be worth every penny spent. When that belief shook, not only was revenue lost, but the soul of the city also began to fade. And then, the real price of this gamble is not on the balance sheet. It lies with people working in the shadows of neon lights, from bellmen, cleaning staff, to shift managers, who are taking the first and deepest consequences of a gamble played with other people's money. When MGM tried to keep the glory of the city from sleeping, the same people who used to wake it up every day were the ones left behind. The decline in tourists not only makes the casino floor sparsely populated or restaurants empty, it's creeping into every payroll, every labor contract, every roof. Hundreds of middle management positions eliminated in the personnel restructuring program. Thousands of employees had their hours cut, their income reduced, or fell unemployed. Within just 1 week, about 800 middle managers at MGM resorts in Las Vegas were cut. The information spread quickly through local channels and social networks, describing the scene as in a losing game. Departments were consolidated. Supervisors and senior managers were forced to compete directly for the position little left. Phrases like restructuring or realignment used in internal announcements may sound reasonable and technocratic, but everyone understands them as mild expressions for cuts designed to preserve EBITDA rates, a cold financial indicator, but it determines the livelihoods of hundreds of families. It is worth mentioning that this is no longer the story of seasonal or low-level employees like the pandemic era. This time, it is the operating buffer layer, that the middlemen between the executive board and the front line are being dangerously thinned. When that padding is lost, the entire service system, which operates smoothly, begins to lose elasticity. The rest have to take on more work, longer shifts, while customers begin to notice the difference in every little detail. The table hasn't been set yet, the food is late, or the employee's smile is no longer the same as before. The broader context makes things even more shaky. Las Vegas tourism slowed down significantly, especially on midweek days, a time that helped maintain stable revenue. Casino revenue declines, profit margins are squeezed, and cost pressures force businesses to lean force, which they consider non-essential. Question asked in hotel industry forums: are the slowdown in tourism and poor profits forcing businesses to sacrifice people to keep their numbers? No one outside of MGM can confirm that, but there is an undeniable truth. 800 real people, many with decades of experience, lost their jobs in just a few days. Reactions on local social media were a mixed wave of shock and anxiety. A widely spread comment read, "My heart goes out to everyone working in hospitality right now. This is worrisome." And indeed, low is the most accurate word. Because if even the class considered the most stable, managers who once ran a team of hundreds of view, people are still cut, then the low-income labor group has almost no safe zone left. In just 1 month, the Las Vegas area lost more than 4,300 jobs, mostly in accommodations, food and construction, according to data from DETR. The local press described this as a clear signal of widespread leveling off, not just by MGM, but by the city as a whole. And as a chain whirl, as the operators leave, the stayer has to take on a larger share of the work, while the guest experience declines, making the midweek arrivals even harder to fill. The 2020 precedent appears like a ghost. When the pandemic caused Vegas to freeze, MGM cut more than 18,000 employees after the furlough period. Many people who survived that time now fall into a similar situation, carrying the feeling of firing, recruiting, again and then firing again like a recurring nightmare. And this time, that fear is not just a memory, it is becoming a reality. Because risk factors are converging, tourist bridges changing axes, junk fees make tourists cautious, and the number of international visitors has not returned as expected. In conversations outside the cafe, people are no longer talking about room price, but about service quality. A signal that trust is shaking, not only with visitors, but also with the very people who have been with this industry for life. At the deeper end, every lean decision isn't just a financial order line. It's a family story, a mortgage coming due, an unpaid medical bill, or a care plan for elderly parents postponed indefinitely. For middle managers, work is more than just income. It's honor. It's a bridge between policy and people. It's pride that they're contributing to keeping the sleepless city awake. And now, as they disappear from behind the scenes one by one, Las Vegas is still lit. But behind that light, the hands that once lit it are gradually becoming less. If even those who keep the wheel running are falling, who else will keep this dream running? A difficult question that even CEOs probably can't find the answer to. But the consequences have gradually become more and more obvious. On the Strip, the lights were still as bright as if they had never gone out. Billboards still illuminate the desert night sky with lavish promises, luxury, escape, paradise. But stepping behind the revolving doors of the resorts, reality is completely different. The paradise that Vegas promises is gradually turning into a place where those who once served that dream struggle to survive. In the summer of 2025, MGM Resorts announced layoffs of more than 500 employees, including managers who had been with it for more than a decade. The rest had their hours, overtime and allowances cut by, pieces of income that used to help them afford the expensive life of the city. An internal source revealed that since spring, more than 1,100 part-time positions have been removed from the system, mainly frontline jobs such as receptionist, valet, and housekeeping, positions that no one noticed until they disappeared. At the Excalibur Hotel, guests have to wait hours to check in. Some services such as buffets or valets have been completely closed, and midweek, casino areas must be temporarily suspended to save costs. In Mirage, the lights at the parking lot go out after 10 p.m., an image that many employees call the symbol of a shrinking city. There are no more scenes of people crowding on the floor, no more slot machines running all night. Only rows of LED lights shining into the empty space remain. For many people, this fall came too quickly. A housekeeping supervisor in her 40s said she worked 6 days a week for more than 10 years. Now, she only has 3 days left to work, no overtime, no bonuses, and is almost always late for rent. A security officer at another resort said that he used to work 40 hours a week. Now there are only a few shifts left. I never thought it would be time to choose between gas and dinner. For those who lose their jobs, things quickly get out of control. Rent increases, unemployment benefits decrease, and there are almost no places to hire more. The area around Fremont Street began to have a series of tents and RVs, where people who served in casinos now had to live temporarily. Many people set up tents right on the parking lot where they used to work, as a heartbreaking paradox. From serving VIP guests to struggling to find a place to sleep overnight, just months apart. A local report describes the scene in a simple, haunting sentence. Las Vegas was built by the service, and now the creators of that service are struggling to survive. The layoffs not only took away jobs, but also disrupted the trust structure of the Vegas community. The city used to operate thanks to the trust that everyone had the opportunity to remake. But when middle-aged people who had devoted their youth now had to live in cars, that belief began to crack. Churches, parking lots, and charity centers become the new social buffer where Vegas hides its dark side. This fact is no longer an isolated phenomenon. Relief organizations recorded a more than 12% increase in homeless people in Clark County in the first half of the year alone, and many of them had stable jobs at MGM, Caesars, or Wynn Resorts. Homeless are now not just wanderers, but the working class forced out of the game they once helped create. In the middle of that picture, the question no longer seems to be who will be next, but how long until the strip lights are not enough to cover the darkness behind. If City Does Not Sleep is created from the hands of people who have no place to sleep, will that light still be bright enough to reflect its own conscience? The crisis started as a small crack, but quickly spread like a domino effect. Caesars Entertainment Corporation was once considered Vegas' immortal symbol, was removed from the S&P 500 index in the third quarter of 2025. This event immediately led to a wave of capital withdrawals from international investment funds and financiers, which once considered the casino hotel industry to be a profit magnet. When the money left the table, the whole game began to wobble. Other operators on Strip, from mid-range brands to boutique, simultaneously tightened their spending. Expansion investments, entertainment programs, and even routine maintenance activities are postponed indefinitely. MGM, which had already suffered losses from its $1.5 billion investment, became the next in the crash chain. As the number of visitors at MGM plummeted, smaller resorts that lived on the influx of visitors from large resorts also plummeted. The viral effect is not only shown in the revenue tables, but also in each street. Auxiliary businesses, from restaurants, souvenir shops, to performance theaters, all recorded double-digit revenue declines in the second half of 2025. A salesman along the Strip said that the midweek customer base almost disappeared. Back in the day, Tuesdays were as crowded as weekends, she said. Now we can clearly hear the wind blowing through the aisle. The resorts responded by cutting down on every little detail. Buffets in Luxor and Mandalay Bay shorten opening hours. Some casinos temporarily close midweek, and parking lot lights turn off earlier to save electricity. Those are small actions, but they say big. Vegas, where once spent money like there was no tomorrow, is now counting every kilowatt to survive. In the buildings that used to be bustling, behind the scenes are also breaking the beat. The cut-down layer of intermediate management causes the service system to operate in disarray. Check-in counters were delayed, rooms weren't cleared in time, technical errors were left untouched, and Vegas's signature-friendly smiles gradually disappeared. A young employee said that he had never seen a city so cold, not because of the weather, but because of the air. Those signs are like a quiet warning to the entire industry. Vegas is losing what once made it immortal. Feeling alive. As each link of the service chain falls apart, from Caesars to MGM, from big casinos to small bars, the city seems to be cowering, like a giant machine trying to operate in battery-saving mode. In a city made of light and faith, hope seems to be the only thing Vegas still retains. After months in crisis, Las Vegas authorities approved a $12 million stimulus package to support the city's backbone, tourism industry. but most of the money went to publicity and media campaigns rather than rescuing workers or small businesses. A local economist commented, "It's just a drop in the desert." As casinos and hotels try to stay afloat, larger recovery plans remain stuck. The Vegas Revival Act, which is expected to bring job training, rental subsidies, and redeployment programs to thousands of hospitality workers, remains in waiting in Nevada's legislative process. Meanwhile, the federal government has yet to respond to an urgent request for assistance from the state of Tennessee, causing Las Vegas, a city once known as of Western pride, to now manage on its own with increasingly thin resources. On a broader level, the problem is not just Vegas. The US tourism industry recorded a 15% decrease in international arrivals over the same period, especially from Asia and Europe. Factors such as visa costs, aviation security, and global inflation make travelers afraid to spend far. Vegas, which lives on a constant influx of people, is now an indicator for the entire US travel market. If Las Vegas is out of breath, the rest of the country could be facing a similar wave of decline. Realizing that they could not rely on old cards forever, MGM began to change strategic direction. They bet on major events in 2026, from the CES Tech Show to the FIFA Fan Festival, expecting to attract hundreds of thousands of new visitors and build momentum for a post-pandemic travel season recovery. At the same time, the company is also stepping up investment in the MICE, meetings, incentives, conferences, exhibitions market, a direction considered less risky, focusing on business and conference visitors instead of visitors' entertainment. Yet, between numbers and strategy, what Vegas is losing the most is the human spirit. Many veteran employees have left the industry, bringing with them the experience and service soul that once made the city famous. The cost of living, especially the sharp increase in rent, makes low-wage workers unable to survive, forced to leave or live crowded into apartments far from the center. The city is gradually lacking the very people who once made it alive. An American tourist in his 50s, when leaving the hotel, told a reporter, "Vegas used to be a place you went to forget all your troubles. Now, it makes me think about the people who have to live to keep it alive. We won't come back. Maybe this is the last time." That saying, even though it's small, encapsulates the general feeling of a city that is still beautiful, but has lost its soul. If Vegas was ever built with dreams and beliefs, then in these difficult times, it was those little people, and not the bright lights, that were the real hope to keep the city alive. Las Vegas was born from the aspiration of a city that sprang up in the middle of the desert, challenging nature and destiny. But 2025 is showing another truth. Light, no matter how bright, cannot hide cracks in the foundation. Every light that goes out isn't just saving electricity. It's a job gone, a roof lost, a dream falling apart. And if the same people who built this city now have to sleep in cars or live in temporary homes, then Vegas, symbol of opportunity, is gradually turning into a test of faith. However, in the middle of that night, there was still a glimmer of one thing: people. The hands that clean, serve, protect, and operate are the ones who actually keep Vegas alive, not the electronic board or fireworks. Perhaps, if there is still a chance for this city to rise, it is not in billion-dollar campaigns, but in the way Vegas recalls what made it great in the first place: trust and people. If a city is built with faith, what happens when the people who believe in it no longer have the strength to continue dreaming? And does the light of Vegas still mean anything if no one can afford to live under it? If you feel the story touches something deep inside you, please share this video so that many others can also see the hidden corner behind the lights. Don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the next reports about America behind the spotlight. The content in this video was built with the aim of analyzing, discovering, reflects social phenomena based on public data sources, media reports, and eyewitness accounts. All information presented is intended to suggest a perspective, not to be an accusation, criticism, or absolute assertion against any individual, organization, or business mentioned. Any numbers, quotes, and interpretations in the video may change over time and should not be construed as financial or legal conclusions. Viewers are encouraged to contrast with the official source and form their own independent opinion. This video was created with a spirit of respect for the truth, an emphasis on humanity, and a desire to evoke understanding, empathy, and dialogue about the changes taking place in contemporary American society.